Right, so in this week, first topic we have discussed about is defense exercise that was carried out between which countries? We have India and Seychelles. So the exercise is called as Lamitier. Lamitier 2026. Some basic facts from prelims perspective we have to understand. Before that, we can take a look at the map. Where is Seychelles located? Right. So this is India. This is the place where you have Seychelles. That means where we can say, right, nearby Somalia, Horn of Africa also we can say, in the southern Indian Ocean as such. So that's Seychelles. And in this area, why we are carrying out defense exercises here? Because this is very vital area. If you look, most of world's trade, it flows through this route. This route you have, this route you have, and then goes to India, another part of Asia, including China and all. So very strategic point. That's why Chinese Navy is also trying to build its presence here. China has actually taken a lot of ports all around these areas and are trying to build both dual use ports, civilian infrastructure as well as military based infrastructure. That's why having our own assertiveness in this area, friendly countries, friendly relations with the countries here is very vital to secure our strategic interest. That's what you can say. Now coming to this particular exercise, defense cooperation we have discussed. This is which edition? 11th edition. So very important exercise. Also we can understand it is the kind of certainty. Since many years we have definitely carried out this exercise with Seychelles. Such region already we have discussed. The exercises of biennial nature. This also is important point we can keep in mind. Annual means what? Once a year. Biennial means after every, no, not 2 times, after every 2 years. So if the exercise is being conducted 2026, next it will be in 2028 as such. 2 times means semi-annual it will become. So biennial means once every 2 year exercise is carried out. Focus is on what? Because Seychelles is an island country. So why we are trying to build our defense partnership? One of the reason is to ensure maritime security, and second is interoperability. That is a general theme of every military exercises, no matter which two countries are participating here. Because Seychelles will learn something from India will learn something from Seychelles. Both of the militaries, both military or both countries will understand how the other one functions, work. And suppose if we have to launch any operation together, not only offensive operation but also humanitarian assistance, we can say, due to cyclones, disaster relief due to landslides and other things. So in both cases, what will happen? Both militaries have worked together with each other. They understand the working, this we can say, this theme and all. So they will be easily able to coordinate and cooperate together. So that's the reason behind interoperability. Now the first term, why exercise is called as Lamitier? Because Lamitier is friendship. Creole is official language. As far as the Seychelles is concerned, the official language of Seychelles is Creole. So that's why the exercise is called as Lamitier. At this point already I have discussed. Since what time we are carrying out exercise? 2001. So almost since 26 years, conducted between Indian Armed Forces and Seychelles Defense Forces, overall to strengthen long-term military partnership. That is the first. Now about this exercise, what is the objective, especially when the Ministry of Defense released the press, what you can call as the press statement. At that time, they have stated that the main role is same as we have discussed. Interoperability we have to ensure. But in this exercise, this particular 11th edition, the focus is on interoperability in which areas? Sub-conventional operation. Very important term. Sub-conventional operations mean you have one term that is conventional. What is conventional operation first of all? So when you have a full-fledged war, that is conventional operations. Sub-conventional means one step below the full-scale war. That means when you are neutralizing which kind of threat here? Terrorism related threat. When you are participating in humanitarian assistance, when you are participating in disaster relief operations. So these are what you can call as sub-conventional operations. And that makes sense because if you try to look at from the point of view of possibility, there is very less possibility that India and Seychelles will fight some joint war somewhere. Because both are very far away from each other, both do not have any common enemy and all, right? So that's why it makes sense to have interaction which is fair. Sub-conventional operation is fair only. Training in semi-urban combat environment. Semi-urban again combat, what is the role here? largely to tackle terrorism related threats, improve peacekeeping cooperation, exchange of two things: tactical skill, how each of the military and their elite soldiers functions, and also modern military technology. Both of the militaries can learn from each other, soldiers can learn from each other that what kind of technology, the drones they are using for surveillance operations, how they are using drones. Okay, something that we can also implement in our own country, so beneficial from perspective of both nations. If we talk about this particular highlights, what is the most important highlight? Till now, whatever Lamiti exercise we have participated in, we used to send only army, Indian army. This is the first such exercise where we have seen participation of all the three services. Three services means army, okay, navy and air force. So Indian army in this exercise was represented by Assam regiment. Indian navy was represented by INS Trikand. Trikand is basically example of a frigate. You have different types of warship. If you have followed current affairs, you would know about it. Okay, we have discussed several types of warship, like aircraft carriers, you have destroyers, right? Then you have frigates. So INS Trikand is example of frigate. Frigate, you can also understand that it is not very large warship, not very a small warship. This is considered as somewhere medium-sized warship, so that we have sent. And Indian Air Force participated by using which aircraft? This we have imported from United States of America, C-130J Super Hercules. This is more, this aircraft you can see here. This is this aircraft. So if you look here, what kind of aircraft it look like? It's transport aircraft, transportation of both personals as well as this materials, mobilization of the tanks and all this can done here. This is the transport aircraft, and by participating in this, we are trying to show what? Why we have for the first time send Navy, Army and Air Force? Because we want to show our integrated military capabilities. Till now in exercises only Army's capabilities vessels have seen how Army of India operate. In this case, they have been exposed to all the three forces, because three forces, when they're working together, when they're carrying out joint operation, how do they coordinate with each other? Same thing can be done by the Seychelles as well. So that's the significance and highlight of this particular edition as such. Strategic importance, first of all, again, the map already discussed. Here you have Seychelles. Now Seychelles is example of what you can call as archipelago. Archipelago we have discussed terms, group of islands that you have. So total how many islands? 155 islands, okay, in the Western Indian Ocean. Capital is on Mahe Island. One of the island you have Mahe Island here. Okay, this is the Mahe Island and the capital is called as Victoria. Importance same, key maritime trade route. That's why from security perspective very significant, and overall it is also fits in India's maritime vision. Okay, this many time in current affairs classes previously also we have discussed. India's vision in the maritime sphere is manifested by this particular term, that means security and growth. Sagar. Sagar means security and growth for all in the region. That means what is the principle with which India want to ensure its maritime this policy or maritime operation? It does not want to threaten some countries. Okay, it does not want to harm some countries. Rather, its maritime vision is ensuring that all countries that you have in the Indian Ocean, they should not be worried about their security. They should not fear any kind of threat. And second, economic growth. Okay, so security and growth for all in the region, and that is one of the, okay, we can say importance of Seychelles and this particular exercise. So that's the first. From prelims perspective, if you try to think, what are the facts you have to keep in mind? All these details are not that important, but one thing you should always keep in mind is what? Name of exercise. What is the name of exercise? Which country India holds this particular exercise with? So you'll see the lot of 10, 15, 20 exercises India conducts on an annual basis. So name and the countries. Apart from that, the geography perspective, you can remember the locations and all. Second topic is related to the current affair, where we have seen the Iran war. In the Iran war, black rain was reported over the capital city of Iran, that is Tehran. Okay, so what is black rain? That's what we will try to understand. So environmental and public health crisis. WHO has stated that the black rain that we have seen over Tehran is directly or can directly result into environment and public health crisis. The question is that why black rain was triggered? Right, Israel, you know, has continuously been launching attacks over Iran, Tehran. So due to their strike, once they targeted the oil facilities. So due to the targeting of oil facilities, you have the black rain. So how targeting of oil facilities create black rain, or what is black rain first of all? So as clear from the name itself, you have rain. If the color of rain look black, okay, that's when we call it black rain. So why will color of black rain look black? If you remember in geography, we have discussed the wind, Sirocco wind. In Sirocco wind, I told you that blood rain you have, right? Why blood rain? Because rain contains red sand particles, so red color. Here, black color. Simple. Why? Because it will contain some black particles. Now, what are the black particles it contain? So shoot, okay, due to burning, lot of burning is going on. So a lot of carbon soot particles are being released. Ash plus oil itself is of what color? Crude oil is of black color. So if you target oil infrastructure, what will happen? Large volume of crude oil will evaporate due to heating, and this evaporated particle will then condense again and will come down the rainfall. Industrial chemicals. So all these composition, if you look, they are of what nature? Obviously dark, oily, and creates, as you can see from the, this is a real image. Okay, you can see that if you look, what it look like? A very polluted sky. Entire sky looks like dark, covered in oily polluted substances. So occurred after oil facility fire. When else can happen? Due to some industrial accidents also we have seen in the past, like refinery. Okay, you have refinery, some explosion occurs. For a short period of time, large volume of such particles are discharged. Or you will see this in case of wildfire. Why wildfire? Because again, what is burning there? Plants, trees. They release carbon. Carbon is a what color? Black, brown, dark color. So wildfires. Volcanic eruption also we have discussed. Large volume of, if you remember, pyroclastic fragments I told you, okay, of different sizes. Volcanic ash, core ash, dust, lapilli, scoria. So all these also can create black rain. Plus, if nuclear fallout, nuclear bomb like in Hiroshima, okay, Japan nuclear attack was carried out by USA. That time also after what we saw, black rain. So these are the main factors that can contribute to black rain. Now formation, how formation happens? Same thing. Release of pollutant, toxic hydrocarbons, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen compounds, smoke, and particulate matter as such. So massive fire was reported, as you can see, because of oil facility. Iran is one of the largest, have one of the largest reserves of oil and gas in the entire world as such. So obviously the amount of destruction was heavy. Rainfall absorbs contaminant and then falls down as the black rain. Simple, okay, mechanism. Now why we should be worrying about health impact? So in this case, WHO has released a report and it has stated that black rain can be considered as what? Real danger to public health. Okay, why it is real danger to public health? Two things are there. One is you have immediate risk, and second also WHO has stated that it has long-term risk. Both we have to know about. Immediate risk is what? Because obviously pollution level is very high. Okay, imagine that so much amount of oil vapor and dust vapors all you have, you are inhaling it continuously. What would it result into? Headaches. Okay, because your brain is not getting this pure oxygen. Pure means, right, you can understand, high pollution level you have. So second, what will have? Because large scale industrial pollutants, okay, you are coming in contact with them, result into skin and eye irritation. Third, because of the polluted air, difficulty in breathing, we will see, will not be able to properly inhale. And also, if suppose you are caught outside when the rain is starting to take place, okay, you're caught outside, what can it cause? Chemical burns, okay, because a lot of harmful chemicals, industrial chemicals are falling along with rain. This is also, we can say, to some extent it will resemble which kind of rain? We would have studied about acid rain, okay, when the composition of rain is acidic. Why acidic? Right, SO2 is there. So there also you have a lot of SO2. Sulfur is present in the crude oil, natural gas, right? You have nitrogen oxide. So all this create a kind of acidic composition. So if you come in contact with this kind of rainfall outside, it will cause the burns also. So that is the immediate risk, okay, as long as rainfall takes place. Now apart from that, WHO also stated there is going to be long-term health impact. What kind of long-term health impact? So WHO states that whenever you have such kind of destruction in oil and gas facilities, what is released? Benzene is released, okay, because that is the main component of the oil. So when this is released and stay long in the atmosphere and all, it is considered as which kind of substance? Carcinogenic substance. Carcinogenic means cancer causing. So in long term, what we can see? Increase in the rates or incidence of cancer in this particular area as such. Second, also the children's Suppose that pregnant women are there, if they come in contact with such kind of harmful substances, it can cause damage even to the children who are still not born as such. So when they will be born, they might not born, they might be born with what, some kind of okay, so disabilities and all. So that is the long term impact we can see in the coming days. So that's the health impact. Apart from that, obviously environmental impact will be there, because when these rainfall falls down, what happened to rainwater? The seeps, okay, the seeps percolates and they become part of what? Soil moisture. They could become part of groundwater. So imagine that instead of pure rain, okay, pure water H2O, you have so much bad chemicals, industrial harmful chemicals, they will go and become part of what? Here, soil and groundwater, and they can remain there for long period of time. And imagine that you are digging a tube well, okay, you are extracting water, using it for what purposes? Drinking purposes, okay, household purposes. So over a long term also, basically you are consuming all this. So long term contamination environment we can see from here. And risk of forever chemicals, okay, forever chemicals means that do not disintegrate easily, they remain in atmosphere and environment for extended period of time, hundreds and hundreds of years. So PFAS, that is per fluoroalkyl substances, we can call it. Per fluoroalkyl substances. These are direct result of the oil, okay, crude oil and its substrate. So such substances would grow in the atmosphere, would remain in the Earth's surface, and thus increased risk of contamination will be seen many years ahead. Other impact, same. Acid rain is one of the after effects. What can happen? One is obviously human skin will be threatened. Second, when acid rain falls on the infrastructure, what would they cause? Corrosion. Okay, so a lot of building infrastructure damages we can see from here. Right, toxins entering food chain, they fall on plants, crops. Okay, all this will become what kind of this unconsumable in nature. But again, people do not have any option who are living there. So they would be exposed to long-term toxins that will keep on biomagnifying and all, and again would present a persistent health hazard, okay, to the people here as such. Historical example, before I told you, what do we have? Hiroshima, 1945, radioactive particles that were released due to the bombing, they got mixed with the rainfall, and then the fall spread contamination beyond blast zone. Because suppose you have blasted it here, but the nuclear, for example, radioactive particle that is being released, it will not remain confined to that place. As the wind moves, it will be taken far away. And imagine that somewhere clouds are forming and there rainfall occurs. So what would happen? The damage is not only seen in the blast zone, it can be far away. Same we can say with the case of Iran also. Okay, in oil and gas facilities where Israel has targeted, it's not that only that particular part of city or only that city itself will be the at the receiving end of the stick. Even the winds and the rain can cause rainfall all across Iran, and not necessarily only Iran, even in the nearby countries that you have, Azerbaijan, Georgia, right, Qatar. So everywhere we can see some impact of this. So overall, what is the key insight from this discussion? Though it seems a short-term phenomena, okay, a temporary event, but it is having a significant long-term ecological as well as health consequences. So even suppose war comes to an end, the consequences will be felt by people who live in this particular areas. Right? So that is how it is also an example of in the mains if you're writing answers, suppose related to this. So how would you end your conclusion? This is one way of ending conclusion. Right? So long-term health and ecological consequences. Right. Then third topic is related to the recent decision taken by government, rollback of seismic code 2025. Government came up with a new seismic code in year 2025, but now just 3 months after they have rolled it back. Okay, they have reversed their decision. They have stated that older code will only apply. So if you look here, older code was given in which year? 2016. So it was in effect. 2025 government made some changes, say that now new code will come. Then after 3 months, again government said that no, new code will no longer be applicable. Will revert back to which code? Same, 2016 code. Now, who is the agency responsible for this particular enforcement of code and coming up with this code? It is called as BIS, Bureau of Indian Standard. Right. So that is the first factual point we have to keep in mind. Now, as per this code, it is based on the seismic zones. Okay, we have discussed in class that India is divided into multiple seismic zones as such. So the most sensitive, very high risk areas are in the Himalayas, okay, around Himalayas, Kutch, Gujarat and all that. So this code would have been applicable there itself. Now the question is, what is seismic code? Seismic code, okay, before coming to that, it is simply like if you are building houses in a earthquake prone zone, depending on which kind of intensity it is, you have to build houses in a particular manner. Okay, the nature of the material that you would use, the shape, structure of the houses that you will have, it has to be as per this particular code. So BIS now has withdrawn it, previous code has been restored. Decision was taken. Why? Because a ministry objected to it, objected or raised concern about it. That is called as Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Okay, so it's not that someone started to protest and then government was pressured to take decision. It was government's own ministry, okay, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, that raised concern, objection, and after that government has withdrawn it. Now the question is, why this ministry is raising concern? Okay, there must be some adverse effect of this code, implementation of this code. So the answer is simply economics, okay, the cost. Now zones 5 and 4 that we have discussed, they are either very high risk zone or high risk zone. So if these zones is where the houses are being constructed based on the new code, what would happen? Increase would be seen in the 10 to 15% as far as the building is concerned. Second, for infrastructure, not houses, like bridges that you are making, right? In that case, how much will cost increase by? 50%. So who is responsible for building infrastructure houses in these areas? Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. That's why I say that it will not be economically good for us. It will cause us a lot of expenses, right? Other concern is lack of stakeholder consultation. Many critics argue that government just came up with the code after deciding internally. They did not take into account the builder community. They did not take into account the other expert as such. Second is feasibility issue. How will you implement it? And third is implementation challenges. That is the biggest challenge we have in India. The codes are given, okay, like you have to build as per this particular code itself. But problem is that only few people follow it. Okay, only large builders follow it. If someone is making independent houses, most of the time they make as per their own design specifications and all. So implementation becomes very challenging. You have to go to each home. And even imagine that suppose that someone has not followed code, okay, and build their houses. Now later on, if you find that they have violated, what do you do? You cannot ask them to raise the building again and do it. Okay, it will create a lot of furor on. So the problem is in implementation. So just bringing new codes. When people are not following 2016 code, okay, how are you expecting them to follow this particular 2025 code itself? Then features of 2025 seismic code, how was it different? So it was more advanced as compared to 2016 because we have used advanced scientific approaches, right, to design this particular code. How? By using probabilistic seismic hazard assessment. In Japan, you use this method. Okay, in Japan, like for example, we can talk about a building. Japan is a nation that experiences highest number of earthquake, right? So 600 to 700 earthquake every year is recorded in Japan as such. So suppose you have a building like that. So what do? They find out the probability of seismic waves reaching here. And you have two types of seismic wave, S wave and P wave. So they move like this. Suppose S wave, how they move? In a kind of crest and trough like fashion. So what they have installed here, based on this assessment, they have the computer system. This computer system basically shifts the weight in the foundation. Okay, you have weights. So if the earthquake waves is moving in this direction, weights are shifted on other side to counterbalance it. When the earthquake wave moves in this direction, what happens? Waves are shifted on the other side. So generally without this counter wave, what will happen? Building will start to shake like this. And due to the structural deformity, they will simply collapse. But if you are shifting the weight, when the wave is trying to move the building on the other side, weight is trying to balance it. So overall, when the waves pass, building still remain what? Kind of straight. Okay, it does not kind of move, shake. So that is example of what? Seismic hazard assessment as such. Active fault mapping. Fault means the break in the rock system that we know. Fault is the area where you have the focus. Okay, and that's from where seismic wave arises. So to understand where is the fault lying, near fault effect analysis, what kind of effect we would see, what kind of destruction we would see and all, that was the particular feature. Aim is that we should not just design area, this is where we have very high probability of earthquake and all, rather we should focus on what? Increasing our accuracy. Accuracy in assessing risk that you have with reference to earthquake as such. Improved structural safety and all, how to make large, tall structures specifically, where hundreds and hundreds of people are living, so that they does not become victim of seismic waves. This earthquake. What is seismic code saying? Set of regulation standard to ensure structures can what? Withstand earthquake forces, not just topple even if a magnitude of 6, 7 earthquake is taking place. Minimize collapse, reduce damage, save life. Why save life? Very few people die because of earthquake only. Okay, because suppose that you are in the area where no structure exists. What would happen in the case of earthquake? Simply you will feel shaking. Okay, but it will not cause any direct harm to you. But if you're living in the dense urban areas where everywhere around you have tall buildings, you cannot run away, right? And if the buildings are not constructed based on this regulation standard, the probability of them toppling would increase. So most of people die because they get trapped in the rubbles, okay, from the destruction, from the building collapse and all. So if you are able to minimize the collapse of building, if you are able to reduce the damage to building, definitely what it will lead to? Less people becoming casualty of earthquake. So definitely human lives we can save. Current, what is the seismic duration of India? Briefly, if you devise, total we divide India into 4 zones. Earlier you had zone 1 also, but now zone 1 and 2, as you can see, has been combined together. So you do not have any zone 1, starting from 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 refer to very high risk, 4 refer to high risk, 3 refer to moderate risk, and 2 refer to low risk. So where Indian plate is colliding with Eurasian plate, it is in this area. That's why the probability of earthquake is highest where? In the Himalayas and northeastern India, right? Apart from that, other part of India, you have a relatively low probability of earthquake. If you see, the lowest risk zone is which one? If you remember from physiography of India, this is part of Central Highland, that is plateau. This is part of your Deccan Plateau, Peninsular Plateau. Okay, this is Chotanagpur Plateau and all. So overall, what we can say, the Peninsular Plateau of India, a large part of it is in very low risk zone. And the reason behind this is simple. This is the most stable landmass of India, such that we have covered in class. Okay, for many years, we did not have any kind of geological deformities, destruction and all that. And you compare with this area, continuous plate movement is going on. Rocks are getting compressed. So what happens? Stress keeps building up. And whenever those stresses release, what do we see? Earthquake, seismic wave. So that's why such zonation is done. So zone 2, 3, 4, 5. But overall, if you talk about the earthquake proneness, we can say 59% of India is like this part we're talking about. This, 3, 4 and 5. So 59% of India lies in what? Earthquake prone zone as such. So that means if you enforce your seismic building code, 59% of India's area you would have to enforce it. And imagine that if your new building code is coming into picture, 10-15% rise is seen, and that is seen not only in a small area, over 59% of entire India's area. So you can imagine the expenses, okay, the government ministries and constructions people will have to incur. That is why it was being protested against, or this concern was raised. Next topic is related to green hydrogen derivative new emission standard. So that is basically related to your green ammonia. Two things are being discussed here. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, they have come up with a new guidelines. The new guidelines, basically it refers to how we can say ammonia is green and how we can say that methanol produced is green. Green means you understand. What is green? Okay, relatively production is by cleaner methods. That means it is not polluting environment. That means the greenhouse gas emission, carbon dioxide emission is relatively low. Okay, then we can say there's ammonia. If it is produced by such method, it is green ammonia. If it is produced, methanol is produced by that method, it is green methanol. So new guidelines Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has come up with under which mission? It has launched National Green Hydrogen Mission. Now if you think, why ammonia, methanol, and we are linking with hydrogen mission? Because for production of both of them, what do you require? Hydrogen. Okay, so hydrogen is raw material for ammonia also, hydrogen is raw material for methanol also. That's why it is part of National Green Hydrogen Mission. Now briefly, if you talk about this mission, what is the mission about? Approved in 2023. What is our sole objective here? First, as we know that we are trying to shift toward renewable energy generation capacity. So 125 gigawatt of renewable capacity we have to develop in India, right? 8 lakh crore investment government has expected, okay, in this particular mission as such, and it would lead to creation of 6 lakh jobs, okay, in the new green sector as such. And because we will be able to become self-reliant in this area, we will also be able to cut down our import by how much? Roughly 1 lakh crore as such. 50 MMT emission cuts, million metric ton of emission cuts. Okay, that means the carbon dioxide GHG that we are emitting, 50 million metric ton. This is very high volume, very high amount that we will be able to reduce. So that is the overall objective of green hydrogen mission as such. Okay, these are the plan outlays of government. Now what is green hydrogen? Simple. When we can say hydrogen produced is green? Again, if it is produced using cleaner methods. What are cleaner methods? Solar energy, wind energy, right? So hydrogen is produced by hydrolysis, right, from water. What do you have? H2O. What do you have? H plus OH. So what you do? You electrolyze it. So H plus will migrate, OH minus will migrate as such. So you will then separate the hydrogen, and that's how you'll produce it. But if you understand, try to think here, for electrolysis, what you require? You need to use electric current. Now imagine that electricity you are producing from thermal power plant by burning coal, and then you are producing hydrogen. Can we say that is a green hydrogen? No, because you are producing it by using fossil fuels, unclean fuels. But if you use solar and wind power to generate electricity, and then that electricity you use in this electrolysis to generate hydrogen, we'll say what kind of hydrogen it is? Green hydrogen. So that is the thing. Apart from solar, wind can also be converted from biomass, because methane, okay, is generated here. From there also hydrogen you can produce. Which is fossil fuel? Biomass is not fossil fuel. Yeah, it is organic waste, right? Emission is less than equal to 2 kg CO2 per kg of hydrogen. That is the criteria government has put, that if the production of hydrogen, if you are producing 1 kilogram of hydrogen, and in this 1 kg of hydrogen production, if you are emitting less than 2 kilogram carbon dioxide, that means it will be considered as green. If it is more than this, it will become unclean, non-green fuel. As such, clean fuel, okay, that is the concept here. So this particular what you can say, data, okay, is very important point. So this you should keep in mind. Okay, I'll get in the 2 kg, less than equal to 2 kg. Now apart from that, also what two other things have been added here? Green ammonia, green methanol. So the changes has been made for green ammonia standard also. Here what is the criteria? For every kilogram of ammonia that you produces, if you are emitting less than equal to 0.38 kilogram of carbon dioxide, we will call it as green ammonia. So that's the changes we have made, produced from green hydrogen plus nitrogen. And what is the main uses of ammonia? How and why do we need to produce ammonia? Used in several sectors. Okay, fertilizers, shipping, okay, power and all that. Alternative to grey ammonia. Grey ammonia is which you are producing using unclean, dirty fuels and all that. So green versus grey. Just this first point is very, very important. Yeah, where or what kind of emission related changes we have seen. Second is green methanol. Methanol. Okay, methanol also producing using hydrogen itself. So here, if the emission is less than equal to 0.44 kilogram of CO2 per kg of production of ethanol, we can call it as a green methanol. You can produce again by using biomass, green hydrogen itself. Okay, carbon dioxide from the DAC, biogenic industrial sources, you can take carbon. Basically, what happens here? Like suppose you have industries, it has chimney. Through this chimney, what is going on? A lot of carbon dioxide is being emitted out. So you scrub it from here itself, right? If you scrub it from here, and you can use it for production of methanol as such. So what you have done? This carbon dioxide, which would have become part of environment, you do not allow it to become as such. Okay, so that's how you extract it. Biogenic sources, industrial sources, reduces emission by how much percentage? 60 to 95%. Okay, because you are not allowing carbon dioxide to go out. So these are the standards, emission standard government of India has come up with. Now why it is significant? Because first of all, earlier there was no regulatory clarity that whether you are producing clean fuel, green fuel, or whether it is producing fossil fuel. Because imagine like this, hydrogen. Hydrogen is always considered as what? A clean fuel, because if you use it, you will not cause any pollution as such. But if you are producing hydrogen using fossil fuel, then now we cannot say it no longer it is as a clean fuel. So that kind of clarity has been given by government here. Second, overall, what it does? Boost the hydrogen ecosystem as such. Okay, more production of hydrogen can be done because incentivization will be there. Decarbonizes which sector? Where these materials are being used, like fertilizer, shipping, power, and heavy industries. And overall, we know government of India has given a goal that we have to achieve net zero emission. What is net zero emission? How will you say that India has achieved net zero emission? You are producing greenhouse gases. Let us try to understand by CO2 itself. So suppose 100 kilogram of CO2 you have produced, but again all 100 kilogram of CO2 you have captured it back as such, right? How? By building up reservoirs, like by afforestation. Like forest act as what? Carbon sink. So 100 kilogram of CO2 was produced, but 100 kilogram was absorbed by sink. That means what is emission? Total emission. Zero emission. Okay, many time confusion arises. Net zero, many people think that it is zero emission of greenhouse gases. Okay, that is not correct. Net zero. Okay, net zero means the emission absorption both should be equal. That's why net emission would become zero as such. So very, very important to keep in mind, both absorption and emission is equivalent. So that's about the green ammonia and green hydrogen. Next is the topic that we have is the revised guidelines for lookout circular or LOCs, we can say. Lookout circular, okay, or LOCs. This guideline is given by Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, Ministry of Home Affairs. So some changes have been made based on the lookout circulars. Lookout circulars are issued for people who are wanted, criminals. Okay, if criminals are trying to flee country, those cases LOC is issued, and at the border Bureau of Immigration can capture them. Okay, if LOC is issued against them. So some changes we have seen being made here. Now, first of all, to understand what is a lookout circular or LOC, it is example of what kind of mechanism? Immigration alert mechanism. Okay, immigration is alerted. Example, you are going at airport, right? And before exiting India, what you have to do? Show your passport. Passport is scanned, okay, by the immigration authorities. So when they scan the passport, all the information comes in their screen. So if some agency has issued a lookout circular, they will match the information. Already a red flag will come, okay, that this particular individual is wanted by CBI, local police, or whatever organizations you have as such, and that will be the alert mechanism. They will catch you, arrest you, or basically detain you. So the purpose is simple. What is the purpose? Why LOC would be issued? Because you do not want, government does not want these people to exit India, the criminals who are absconding. So preventing absconding or wanted persons from leaving India, that is the sole purpose of lookout circular. Where it is used? Two places you can exit India, either at airport or at seaport as such. Enforced by who? Ministry wise, MHA. We know that internal security, which agency is responsible for ensuring internal security of India? Ministry of Home Affairs, and one of its organization called as BOI, Bureau of Immigration. Okay, these are the people who are sitting at your airports, seaports. Okay, they are allowing foreigners either to come to India or Indians to exit India. If they have some doubt, okay, issue this we can say suspicion, then they can either deny entry to people. Can they deny entry to Indian citizens? Suppose Indian citizens went outside of India and then came back. Can they deny entry to him? No. Okay, no Indian can be denied entry into India. Where they will ask him to go? Right. So this is only for foreigners. If some foreigner, suppose that someone has given some statement or remark that is perceived as anti-India, okay, or say made some controversial remark against the government of India and all that, in that case, what happens? They can be denied entry, or he might have some sort of cases. Interpol might have sent red corner notice and all that. So in those cases, it can be foreigners can be denied entry. Indian citizens, no matter what, even if they are criminals, what you will do? You will allow them to enter, then you will catch them. Okay, put them under arrest. You cannot deny entry and ask you to go somewhere. Okay, that is not under the mandate of BOI. So Bureau of Immigration under Ministry of Home Affairs is responsible for implementing this lookout circular. Now, why we are talking about it? So some key changes have been made in the guidelines. Okay, so earlier, for example, like National Commission of Women, you would have studied about, or National Human Rights Commission you have. So, and other such kind of statutory bodies you would have studied. So they used to earlier issue LOC. Suppose someone has violated human rights and NHRC has found him like guilty, right? In that case, NHRC can directly send a lookout circular to the immigration authorities. Immigration authorities then, whenever this individual come to them, can detain them, okay, or do not allow him to exit India as such. Now that has been changed because MHA has restricted the direct powers to such agencies to issue LOC as such. Statutory bodies cannot directly request the Bureau of Immigration to implement the lookout circular. The most important significant changes have been made. If now in the new case, what would happen? Even if NHRC has found someone guilty of violating human crime, National Commission of Women has found someone guilty, okay, of outraging modesty of women, something like that. In that case also, they would not directly issue LOC, they would go to who? Law enforcement agency. They can go to the local state police. Based on the significance of how serious is the charges, they can even go to Central Bureau of Investigation, right? Or other criminal jurisdiction bodies as such. So they would go to them, and they, based on the merit of case, would now issue lookout circular, and they would be the one who sent it to the Bureau of Immigration. Earlier problem was that so many agencies are there, every agency is sending BOI, this lookout circular to BOI. So becomes quite messy. So that is what government is trying to streamline, that only now police, law enforcement agencies. What are the example of law enforcement agencies? You can say Enforcement Directorate. What else? National Investigation Agency as such. So only these agencies, police, CBI, they can now issue lookout circular. NHRC, NCW, National Commission for Scheduled Caste, Scheduled Tribe also you can add here. They would no longer be allowed to directly issue LOC to Bureau of Immigration. Same thing we have discussed here. Direct LOC request barred for who? National Commission of Women, National Human Rights Commission, National Commission for Protection of, what is it? Children Rights, okay, NCPCR, National Commission for Protection of Children Rights. National Company Law Tribunal, okay, that is responsible for looking at the insolvency and all these related cases. Key point is ensure LOC is issued via criminal law framework only. The agencies responsible for criminal law, they will be issuing it. Standardized LOC actions also have been clearly defined. Okay, like suppose now you have a state police. Suppose that you have Karnataka state police. Okay, and Bangalore more specifically. So Bangalore police issued a LOC to BOI because through CCTV they have identified someone who is responsible for some terror acts. Okay, so in that case, person is absconding. So they will make an image. Okay, they collect data about him and directly issue LOC to BOI. They can issue directly LOC to BOI because state police. Okay, they have been given the right. After BOI takes up the LOC, in that case, suppose a person comes at the airport, they have three actions they can perform. First action, they will detain it because he will be red flagged. And after detailing, what they will do? Inform the originator. Who is originator? The agency which has issued lookout circular. In this case, who will BOI inform? Bangalore police. Okay, that we have detained this particular individual who you were looking out for. That's the first. Second is in the less serious cases, like some economic offenses are there, or not economic offenses, some like low scale offenses, low intensity offenses. In that case, departure can be prevented, detention will not be done, but originator will be informed that we have not allowed him to go out of India. What can be example here? In many cases of civil case, marital disputes you have. Okay, there is some case related to what you can say, domestic violence. There is some case related to custody of children. So imagine that the custody battle is going on between mother and father, that who will have custody of children, and taking advantage of it, suppose a mother or father, any of them are trying to take children away, and suppose they want to shift to Canada. In that case, what will happen? Mother will have very much difficulty later on, right, to fight the custody battle, because anyway father have taken actual custody. So in those cases, what happens? LOCs can be issued, departure can be prevented, but the person is not criminal as such. Okay, so he will not be detained. Only the organization will respond this what can say inform that we have allowed him not to go. Third case is C remarks. Yes, C remarks means it depends on case to case basis. There is no clear cut guidelines. Based on remarks, they have to take action as such. So that is issued by such agency which are dealing with very serious offenses, most specifically terrorism related offenses. What agencies? Intelligence Bureau. RAW. RAW means suppose someone has been involved in this passing on information to enemy countries, Pakistan, China, some sensitive defense information and all that. Right? Central Bureau of Investigation, National Investigation Agency plus State Anti-Terrorism Squad. So overall, what we can think see from this particular discussion, which agencies are involved here? Two cases, either terrorism related charges or anti-nationalist stances. Okay, who is trying to compromise the unity, sovereignty, unity, integrity of India and all that. So those cases, they will clearly say that what need to be done. Based on those remarks, the BOI will take action as such. So three clear action type based on the issue of LOC. What is the purpose behind coming up with such clear-cut guidelines? So there is no subjective interpretation, okay, that what can be done here. You have a clear set of guidelines, you have to act as per that particular guidelines. So flexible response, especially in sensitive cases, because we have now added C remarks. Suppose someone is very hardcore terrorist. In that case, you cannot just let him go and say that we have not allowed him to go. Okay, in that case, what you have to do? You have to bring in the, because he is hardcore terrorist. Okay, maybe the civilian officers are not well equipped to tackle. So you can bring it CISF that you have in the airports. CISF will come, they will take custody of him and prevent it in more stronger kind of environment. Okay, where it is difficult for him, impossible for him to flee as such. So that is the overall purpose of this new circular. Enforcement and timeline. Court orders. That means if a court order issued, immigration will have to inform originator immediately as such. Response within 7 working days. What court has stated? Suppose at the airport, Bureau of Immigration has prevented one person from exiting India. After that, what I told you, they have to inform. Like in case of Bangalore police, they will say that yes, okay, we have detained the person. Now, after the information is passed on to Bangalore police, how many days Bangalore police will have to respond? 7 days. Within 7 days, they have to come at the airport or seaport, wherever they are. They have to take custody of the person. Right? Third, person cannot leave till LOC is updated. That means as long as lookout circular is issued in his name, no matter whatever kind of circumstances are, a person cannot be allowed to live. If LOC is updated that no longer he is any, like for example, many time what happens, person might be only this issued, LOC might be issued only on the grounds of suspicion also. Later on, investigation is carried out, it was found that no, person is not guilty. Then what we will do? Update LOC. Okay, you will write that no longer LOC is required, person is free to leave as such. Custody rules. Within 3 hours, agency must take custody, okay, from the airport, else who will be handed to? Local police as such. Okay, because at the airport you do not have the system where you can take person and keep person for long duration of time. So handed to local police, formal custody will have to be taken within 24 hours as such. That's the timeline and enforcement. So this is the overall 5 topics we have to discuss. If you look at some of the questions being from the 5 topics that we have discussed. So first is black rain. Right, what is the correct option? Most likely to occur under which of the following conditions? Right, 1, 2 and 3. Oil refinery fire, volcanic fires, volcanic eruption and nuclear explosion. Cyclonic rainfall over clean oceans cannot cause black rain. Can they cause blood rain? Yes, okay, because red sand can be taken by cyclones easily from the nearby areas. So blood rain we can see. Blood rain also happens because of algae. Okay, that also, right. So algae which are having red pigments. Many times algal spores, especially in the this main season, it is released and then they are taken away by wind and the rainfall brings them down. So that also causes blood rain. So in Kerala we have seen earlier in the past. With reference to lookout circulars in India, consider the following statement. LOCs are issued by the Bureau of Immigration. True or false? LOCs are issued. Is BOI issue or implementing it simply? BOI is implementation agency. Issue is by who? Criminal authorities, criminal investigation authorities, CBI, police and all that. Understand? Issuing and implementation. How will immigration authorities issue LOC? Okay, they are not working with the people as such. So local police will issue LOC. BOI, what they will do? Only implement it. So first option is what? Incorrect. Statutory bodies like NHRC can directly request issuance of LOC. Earlier, yes. Now, as per the new circular, they are not allowed to do so. LOCs are used to prevent individuals from leaving India. True or false? True. Okay. So, what is the correct option? None of this look like. Okay. Which is the only correct option here? 3 only. Okay. It should be option, but okay, it will not have the correct option here. Then, third, seismic code, okay, 2025 was withdrawn primarily due to what reason? Right, simple. Concerns over what? Increased construction cost and feasibility. We have seen that in case of buildings, it would rise by 15%. In case of big infrastructure, it can even rise as far as 50%. Second, the rise is not only limited to one part of India, because the earthquake prone zone extends over how much? 59% of India's area. So to that extent we will see the rise. So this was the main concern, and presented by which organization? Yeah, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, not home. Housing. House and home, there is a difference. Home affairs means security. Housing means construction of buildings, okay, all these houses, especially for this under the schemes, LIG, MIG, all the schemes that you have. Then exercise Lamitier. What is the Lamitier conducted between? Simple, India and Seychelles as such. What does Lamitier means? Friendship. So here it is easier because you just have read about it. Imagine that throughout the entire year, 50 exercises you have read about. And if there they give you match the following question. Exercise 1, 2, 3, 4. And other side, what do you have? Name of countries. Which of them are correctly or incorrectly matched? There confusion can arise. So that's why the name of exercise I told you. Not have to go into extensive detail about the all this. This we have discussed just to have a broader understanding. Right? But from prelims perspective, just country name and the exercise name. Fifth, consider the following statement regarding seismic zones in India. Right, what is the correct option? Following statement regarding seismic zones in India. India is divided into 5 seismic zones or 4 seismic zones? 4. Because earlier you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what they have done? 1 plus 2 is combined together and simply it is referred as zone 2. Which part of India is under zone 2? Right, lowest risk. So lowest risk is largely part of peninsular plateau. Which area is under zone 5? Himalayan, sub-Himalayan regions, as well as your northeast, entire northeast India. Okay, this is very important to understand. Total, how many states you have in northeast? Including Sikkim, 8 states. All these 8 states are in zone 5. Okay. Second, zone 5 represents what? Correct or incorrect? Highest seismic risk. Okay, that is where you have continent convergence. Indian plate still, if you remember in class I told you, still at the rate of 4.5 centimeter per year, 45 millimeters per year. Indian plate still is pushing against Himalaya, causing build up of what you can say, stress, compressive stresses. More than half of India lies in earthquake prone zone. True or false? True. Okay, we have discussed 59% roughly. So obviously more than 50%. So what is the correct option? Right, A. 2 and 3 only. So that is the overall questions that we have discussed.
ನಿಮಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಏನನ್ನ ಕಿತಾಪತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನೋಡಿ. ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಅಲ್ಲ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ನಂಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.